Welcome back. Mitchell Forgy joining us from Red Beard Roasters this afternoon on Tranquille. Welcome back to the show.
It's good to be here. It's been 2 months and yeah, anyway.
You guys have been busy because we had Marlene here, who's the kitchen person, the manager, kitchen manager?
No, front of house manager.
Front of house
manager.
So
she'll take care of you at the table very well.
Yes.
When you come and, you know, she smiles and laughs and is bubbly and all the things that you've come to expect.
Which is awesome. We are going to have 2 segments today with Mitchell. We're going to start with a charcuterie plate, which is a French term meaning meat and bread, essentially. But tell us about this. Maybe we can get a close-up of it. This sort of seems like, in my mind, I see more of these types of plates at restaurants. You can make a meal out of them almost because they're so substantial. There's a lot of meat on there, but you can see breads, cheeses, nuts, chutneys. It smells delicious, by the way.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a big part of what we kind of did as our kind of trademark, and it's like the one thing that since we opened 7 months ago has really remained there. I've been reading a book lately about restaurant management and all that, and he says, you know, it takes about 2 years for a restaurant to really know what it's doing. And I think that this is, you know, one of the things that we kind of, I think, knew what we were doing right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. We joked because we used a whole bunch of cedar boards to adorn the kind of restaurant when we were doing the renovation. And every time we'd make a mistake, you know, pound a hole through the wall by accident or something like that, we'd just put a board on it. So, oh yeah, I really think this wall needs some cedar on it right now. You know, oh yeah, just cover up that hole.
Nice.
And then now that we're cooking, we've said, well, now we're going to put it on a board. So we call this our charcuterie board or our picnic board. And kind of, yeah, the idea is we have, you know, nice picnic tables out on the patio. So I brought some springtime beers for us to taste later. And, you know, you go out and, you know, 3 or 4 people or 5 or 6 people or 1, you know, who knows how many are there. But, you know, you can kind of just pick at a few things and 45 minutes later, you find yourself full. We're
on the cheeses right now, so maybe we can hold that shot if that's all right. Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here.
So these cheeses that we have right now are all sourced from Canada. We have this one I'm just going to highlight actually right here is called Cendrillon. And it is that little black that you see around the edge of it. That is actually vegetable ash.
What?
And so they
vegetable ash.
Yeah, they take vegetables and I guess they basically cremate them. And they take the little bit of ash and they rub it around the edges and it gives the cheese an amazing, like, just very, like, subtle smoothness to it. Otherwise, it's a fresh goat cheese, so
that's neat.
It's pretty tasty. We have a couple other ones here. We have this one's called Blue Brie, and it has just kind of a blue rind on the inside of the brie. We have some other soft cheeses because I find in spring, you know, that kind of soft, spreadable cheese that you can kind of put on a piece of bread is really nice, whereas I kind of like the harder cheeses in the summer, just for me anyways. Awesome.
Maybe we can move along to that next little bit here, Marcel, if that's okay, and we'll talk about some of those things.
So we make our own in-house hummus here. Yeah, it's actually surprisingly easy to make your own tahini and things like that. You just take a bunch of sesame seeds, put them in the oven for a little while, and they kind of toast up. They smell amazing. Your house will smell like really nice for a couple days. And then you just take that with oil and you kind of grind it up. Then you add the chickpeas and some lemon juice and a couple other things, and very simple cooking.
Is this pesto?
This is a arugula pesto that we make in a house. So toasted pine nuts and arugula and olive oil, and that's it, you know, simple stuff. At the back here, we have a nice guy from Chase who makes his own honey. It's called Living Gardens, and we mix his honey with a bunch of rosemary, warm it up a little bit so that it kind of gets that rosemary sort of infused to the honey, and put it on almonds. Very simple. In the middle there, we have our in-house made pickles. So we pickle red peppers, shallots, zucchinis, and cucumbers all together. And we add some cider vinegar. And then we actually, so when I come to this show, I usually have a little bit of leftover beer afterwards. What I do is I actually take that and we have a constantly sort of fermenting little thing of vinegar downstairs. We'll just add that, and so we have our kind of own in-house made beer vinegar that we throw those pickles in.
You are recycling with the best of them, hey?
We try hard, and then finally when you get down to this end, except for the meatballs, which we've made in-house, this is actually all made by Gary's on the North Shore, so great place, a great deli to go and visit. And probably our sort of closet favorite is right here, and they call this brawn, if you want to kind of be nice about it, but they also call it head cheese.
Okay. Do you want to talk about what that is?
Head cheese is where they take essentially the head of a pig and they boil it, and they take all of that little ham and they take all the little bits of meat out, and then they take that stock that's been boiling and they pour it into a tureen pan. And it comes out like a big log because there's so much gelatin in the head of a pig that it takes that flavor and that stock and it really concentrates it. And then you can see you get these kind of little bits of gelatin around the edge here. And they have tons of flavor. And, you know, if you've never had head cheese before and the word itself is, you know, a little bit kind of off-putting, it's like, oh, you know, I don't know if I want to do that. Even for me, the first time I went to Gary's, I'm like, you know, I have to try that because I'm that kind of guy. I just have to try it. Put it in my mouth. I don't know if I like it. Well, I'll try it one more time. Yeah, you know, it's okay. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later now,
You're eating it all the time.
I'm eating it all the time, and it's such a great thing. So
That is awesome. We have to take a break, but we are going to come back in 2 minutes, and we are going to try some spring beers that would complement this plate beautifully. Stay with us. Welcome back. Mitchell Forgey joining us from Red Beard Roasters. If you haven't been here, let's go to the visuals. This is on Tranquille Road. Fairly common space there, not far from that pet store across the street.
Yeah. You might know it as Cowboy Coffee.
That's
it hasn't been Cowboy Coffee for almost 5 years, so before I moved to Kamloops, I knew it as Cowboy Coffee, and that was like the one landmark I had before I moved here.
Okay.
And so it's pretty cool that, you know, a few years later, it's, you know, my little restaurant. And
look at that cozy interior.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We've been pretty happy. So, yeah, it's Friday today, so we're open until midnight, Fridays and Saturdays, and 10 o'clock otherwise, and we open at 7 in the morning. So if you're an early riser or you're a late sleeper, we do our coffee, but we also have our beer and everything at all times of the day. So
Right, have a coffee, turn it into a beer maybe mid-morning, stay all day, right?
We've seen a few students, especially around, you know, work time, where they come in for a coffee to sort of start working on their project, and all of a sudden they've had lunch, and then they've also had dinner, and they've also had 2 beers, and they've also had 2 coffees.
Really?
And then they kind of go, oh, I think I've been here for 11 hours, which
Maybe
I'm
I should
okay
go
with.
home. That's right.
Yeah.
Very nice on the outside. I'm sure the patio furniture will be coming out fairly quickly.
I've been out for 2 weeks already,
Well
actually.
done.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, we can pull away from these visuals. Thanks to the downstairs for doing that. We're checking we're going to be taste testing a couple of spring beers. Maybe tell me about these.
Okay, sure. So I'm going to start first with this Framboise. It's a lambic style of beer.
With strawberry in it?
Raspberry.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Boy, my French is awesome.
We're
Well done, Susan.
It's true, right? And so lambic style beers are beers where they actually put them in barrels and they leave them to the open airs in some cases, and they actually allow the beer to go sour. Then they brew a new batch of the beer, and they blend the new batch of the beer into the old one.
Oh.
And the old one will have, you know, gained some alcohol, but the new one will be very light in alcohol. And they brew it kind of as like a summer beer in Belgium. And so this beer is 2.5%. So in some countries, this is actually considered
Illegal.
non-alcoholized
2.5%.
beer.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you could drink the whole bottle and still feel fairly level-headed.
Yeah. I just am about to embarrass myself because, as you can see, once you take the cap off, there is a cork.
Let's see what we have. I don't know if we have. I don't know.
Last time I was here, I did get a wine opener, but it was from the staff room.
Well, it might still be there. You know what?
So we're not going to taste this beer today, I don't think.
We're not going to try it, but whereabouts is it from, just in case?
So this is from Belgium.
Yeah.
We kind of advertise it as like drinking a raspberry soda that has a little bit of complexity and a little bit of sourness to it.
Okay.
It's, yeah, brewed in Belgium. They're pretty tough to come across, so we're pretty lucky when we have them.
Well, pretty lucky because you get to save this one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this was planned. No, I'm just kidding.
Just gonna put this back on, good as new.
That's awesome.
We'll just take that along
Oh,
to
it's all
somebody.
good.
So in the meantime then, I did also bring another fruit beer because it is springtime, and fruit to me is just that light and fun flavor. We have this on tap pretty much all summer. It's called Cannery Brewing's Blackberry Porter. It's from Penticton. And because it is a porter, it's a fairly dark style of beer. But I think it's going to kind of surprise you here in how light it tastes, because they add that blackberry, and it just really lightens up the beer. But it also is a little bit about a misnomer about dark beer. So most people seem to think, like, it's very common, they say, oh, Guinness is a meal in a glass. But that's not quite true because Guinness is actually about 40 calories less than your average Coors Light or Stella Artois or something like that.
How is that possible?
And it all has to do with when you make the malt dark, so the grain that you're putting into the beer, when you make it dark, you're actually taking a lot of the sugars out of it, and the sugars can't ferment. And there's
Look
no
what we
sugar
got
in the
here.
beer.
Earl Seitz, come on over. Earl Seitz brought us a bottle opener.
Oh, look at this.
Earl, you're a good person.
Of course, if I drank wine, I'd be sticking around. That's why this never gets used.
Earl, thank you.
Enjoy it.
Look at that
You can catch
fancy
Earl
one.
tonight at 5 o'clock if he doesn't drink any of this beer. We'll see.
So
Thank you, Earl.
we'll finish up really
We'll try
quickly
this.
with the
Yeah, we're almost out of
blackberry
time
here.
That is delightful.
Yeah.
It's the best of both worlds. There's a chocolate undertone there, too, isn't there?
And it's really, really light.
Really good.
I have never used one of these before.
Yeah,
Have
it looks
you?
a little, well, let's give it a go. I'm no stranger to wine.
This is
Claudius.
how to learn through mistakes
I think you have to
with
lift
Susan
this
and Mitch,
puppy up.
apparently.
Of course, I know how to use it. Maybe I do. Let's see. Does this look like it's going in? Okay, this is getting awkward and embarrassing. Maybe not. Yeah, I think well, you know what? Let's just... Oh, yeah. That just happened. I did not use that properly, but it still worked. Okay, on with the show. Let's give this a try.
So here we are, as you can see, bright pink.
Yes, we are like a minute away from being cut off, so let's have a quick sip of this.
Cheers.
Cheers to
Happy
you.
Friday.
Happy Friday. We should have more of these every week. That is just straight up delicious on a hot day. That is delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers to you as well. Information on the screen. Always a pleasure to have Mitchell and the crew on the show. So redbeardcoffee.com.